Hello my friends. Today I want to talk about something kind of exciting, why I paint from my imagination and how to unleash your creativity. I have a couple points for each of these. So excited to talk about this topic because there's several things that I haven't talked about when it comes to imagination and creativity that I've been thinking about recently and I really want to share with you. Before we begin, I wanted to say that my third art retreat is launching tomorrow at 12 p.m. EST to Italy. It's going to be in October. It's going to be linked down in the description. Early bird bookings have a $150 discount. It's going to be 6 days in Rome and Florence, and then we're going to take a day trip to Tuscany. We're going to be eating so much pasta, so much wine. Obviously, if you're gluten-free, we'll find you a gluten-free option. But I am so excited to go. I've never been to Italy before, and this is literally like the opportunity of a lifetime. I'm going to be hosting 2 art workshops, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about creativity and sketching techniques. I hope to see you there. The link is going to be in my description. Let's start off with 4 reasons why you should paint from your imagination. The very first one is simple. It's stylizing your work. Simply put, it will remove some realism from your artwork. This is very important for me because I am a pretty good artist at copying something visually, and I hardly ever have any problems using a reference. That being said, references can be a crutch for me. I can rely too heavily on the reference photo and not rely on my creativity or my imagination very much. And so the very first reason why you should paint from your imagination is just stylizing your work a little bit more than keeping it realistic. The second reason is it's more frustrating. It truly is. I have to creatively problem solve a lot more when I'm drawing from my imagination. Just like any kind of exercise, any kind of like cooking a hard recipe, doing hard things will help you improve. Good things don't come easily. Truthfully, painting from your imagination can be a lot more frustrating from using a reference photo. It can involve a lot more brain power versus just idly copying a reference image. And it leads into my third point, which is it helps me to think outside the box. I don't have to rely on someone else's creative idea to also be creative myself, which is something that I do when I use reference photos. There are so many beautiful creative reference photos out there that I am inspired by and that I don't want to use the word copy, but like I heavily reference, right? That can be frustrating. I find that I stick way too literally to someone's reference when I use a reference photo, and even if I'm using like a royalty-free image, it's nice to step away every once in a while and see what my own mind comes up with. It might not be as perfect or as anatomically correct or maybe as realistic, but that doesn't mean that the artwork isn't important. My fourth point to why I think you should paint from your imagination is it can connect you with past and present versions of yourself. The bond that I have with my past artwork is amazing. I'm sure you also experience the exact same thing. One moment you're drawing something, you might think you've created something so ugly or so beautiful, and then in a couple of years, which is seriously the next moment, you might just look at that image, that painting, and remember what life stage you were at. You're gonna be able to celebrate how far you've come, and you probably won't remember, like, oh, I think this is so ugly or so beautiful, but you will remember the emotions that you had creating something. And that's what's so beautiful about drawing from your imagination, especially because you are connecting with your own creativity, and that gives your future self kind of this unique opportunity to create with a past version of themselves. I think it's so beautiful. This painting that I'm working on in this video is something that I worked on a couple of months ago, and I truthfully just didn't think much of it when I painted it. I wasn't very wowed by it, but coming back to it after a couple of months, I do find it charming, and I am happy I painted it even though in the moment I didn't think anything of it. Now looking at it, I think it is so sweet and so charming. I love the creativity behind some of my decisions, and I'm proud of this artwork that I created. So even if in the moment it might feel like you're just stuck and over a painting, in the future you might be so proud of it. Now that we've established why you should paint from your imagination, the next question is, how do you unleash your creativity and imagination? I have 3 tips for that, things that I've been sort of thinking about recently that I would love to share with you. I wanted to say a quick thank you to Dossier for sponsoring this video. These are seriously the best perfumes that have gotten from Dossier so far. I have Woody Sage and Citrus Tea. Woody Sage is inspired by Jo Malone's Wood Sage and Sea Salt, which is like one of my every single day perfumes. I wear it all the time. I've gone through like 3 bottles of it. I was so curious to see if Woody Sage was going to be similar. And then Citrus Tea is inspired by Le Labo's The Noir 29. Citrus Tea is so spot on for the Noir 29. Its lasting power is amazing. I spritzed myself one time and I could still smell strongly the next day after I slept. Check out the link in the description to learn more about Dossier. They have a lot of holiday sales going on, so be sure to take advantage of those. Thank you so much to Dossier for sponsoring this video. Let's talk about how to unleash your creativity and imagination. My very first tip for you is to think about the media and memories that stick with you and inspire you, especially after many years. What has had an impact on you? It can be something seriously as simple as a jump scare in a horror movie. Like, that's kind of an esoteric thought, right? How did that make you feel, and how can you replicate that feeling visually? It's a really fun exercise to think about. For a lot of girls like me, it's the hand-holding scene in Pride and Prejudice. Any Jane Austen or Charlotte Bronte book, I want my painting to also feel that way. It's a fun exercise to figure out how to take a feeling and relay it visually. The second one is kind of deep. The second point, I'm gonna be honest. Healing your inner child. Oh no, we're getting into emotional territory. I think my artwork can sometimes look more childish because I incorporate themes that made me feel safe and happy when I was a child. I've had like a turbulent life story. Probably a lot of us have too. The way that I like to incorporate these childish elements into my work, I also have to heal my relationship with beauty, weight, sexuality through my work. And that is definitely more uncomfortable than drawing things that made you feel safe as a child. But channeling these thoughts helps form your whole understanding and perspective of the world while creatively putting those musings on a canvas. I think it's so important to take this time to reflect on your own self, your thoughts, your emotions, and to sit with these things, especially because painting can be something that is laborious and takes a lot of time. It can be the perfect opportunity to think about your past, think about the way you view things now, what has shaped you to be the person that you are. All of these are great ways to channel creativity and imagination in your work. I know that one is not quite so easy, but it's definitely effective. My very last tip on how to unleash your creativity and imagination. This one is so simple, so fun to do. It's definitely an exercise I like to practice often. It is focus on making something special. So is there a color or an object that you think is boring or normal or plain? Can you make that color something that is exciting to you? Can you bring new life to this boring color or boring object by painting with it or painting it? It's something that is really interesting because it makes you think more deeply about why you think something is plain or boring or uninteresting. And it challenges your worldview by making you view it in a different light, in a way that it's not plain, it is beautiful or extraordinary or out of the ordinary. I think it's so interesting to do. I'm trying to actively do this with the color cyan or teal. I'm just not a fan of teal or cyan, but maybe if you've been looking at my work recently, you can see like a little bit more of those colors in my work. I'm trying to make it a special color instead of a color that I don't enjoy at all. And I think that's such an interesting way to view colors and objects in the world around you by trying to make them special. I think that's what is so great about imagination and what draws non-artists to artistic people and artistic minds and art in general. What do you think of this final painting? Do you like it? Do you think it's cute? I think it's really sweet and I'm glad I painted it even though it's not my best work. I think it's always nice to loosen up a little bit and just paint from your imagination even if you're not going to come up with a perfect result. Again, my trip to Italy is going to be linked down in the description as well as a Dossier with a coupon code. Thank you so much to them for sponsoring this video. Thank you so much for watching this video. I hope you're having a great December and I hope it's not like what it is like for me, which is really depressing and sad. I'm sleeping 12 hours a day again. I literally hibernate or something. I get pretty depressed, but I hope you're staying safe and warm and like drinking hot chocolate and making yourself food if you can, all this good stuff, staying in a healthy mindset. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will talk to you guys in the next one. Bye.